Dear friend, have you ever wondered why? You sometimes wake up feeling even more tired than when you went to bed. You've been in bed for 7, 8 hours, yet the morning greets you with a heavy head, a stiff neck, troubled breathing, and a body so weary you barely feel like getting up. If that sounds like your reality lately, then let me gently tell you this. You are not the only one going through it. After 60, many of us begin to notice that sleep changes. It's no longer easy to fall asleep, and even when we do, it rarely feels restful. Sadly, we often assume it's just a part of aging, that feeling exhausted is somehow normal. But there may be another reason, one that most people overlook. The very room we sleep in, the bedroom we thought was safe and familiar, may quietly be affecting our health every single night. It's not illness. It's not anxiety or overthinking. It's the things around us, that old pillow we've used for years, the dust hiding under the bed, the phone resting right by our head. All these seemingly harmless things might actually be the reason why we can't sleep deeply, why we struggle to breathe easily, and why our bodies can't fully recover by morning. The good news is you don't have to remodel your whole room or spend a fortune. Just a few simple changes, removing the right things at the right time, can make a real difference in just a few nights. So today, I'd like to walk with you through 6 everyday items that might be holding you back. Together, we'll gently reset your space and offer your body a better chance at the restful, healing sleep it truly deserves. And if you're still listening and feel a quiet sense of recognition inside, I invite you to stay just a little longer, because maybe, just maybe, this is where a new kind of rest begins, lighter, deeper, and more precious than ever before. Maybe you're like me, you've held onto a pillow for so long, you can't even remember when you last replaced it. A pillow may seem like a small thing, but it stays with us night after night, for years on end. Each evening, when we lie down, we rest our head on it without a second thought, soft, warm, familiar. It becomes more than a pillow. It feels like a silent companion to our sleep. But then, there are mornings when something just doesn't feel right. A stiff neck, shallow breathing, a foggy mind, and that lingering feeling that sleep didn't quite do its job. It's easy to blame age, or a restless night, or the weather perhaps. But the real culprit might be right under your head, the same pillow you've trusted for all these years. The truth is, as time passes, a pillow doesn't just gather dust. It absorbs things we can't see: bacteria, dead skin cells, moisture, even mold. These things seep into the fabric, find their way into your breath, and slowly begin to affect your sleep, your skin, and your overall well-being. And for those of us who've lived through more than half a lifetime, small things like that can make a surprisingly big difference. Sometimes we hold on to something not because it's still good, but simply because we've grown used to it. I've done it too. But one day, I realized letting go of what no longer serves us, even if it's just a pillow, can open the door to something better. A fresh pillow, clean, supportive, gentle, can help you breathe deeper, sleep sounder, and wake up with a sense of lightness you forgot you can feel. So, if tomorrow morning comes and you wake up with that same old heaviness, maybe it's time to take another look at the pillow beneath your head. It doesn't have to be fancy or expensive. Just something made with safe materials, easy to wash, and with a simple cover for protection. It's a small step, but one that holds a quiet kind of power, a gift you can give yourself. Have you been holding on to the same pillow for too long? If you have, I'd love to hear your story in the comments below. You might be surprised how many of us have done the very same thing. Now let's move on to something else in the bedroom, a common item we use every night, but one that may be silently stealing the rest we so deeply need. There's a small habit that many of us don't think twice about, but it quietly chips away at the quality of our sleep every single night. I'm talking about keeping your phone right next to your pillow. These days, the The phone has become almost inseparable from our daily lives. It helps us stay in touch with family, check the news, listen to music, read articles, even serve as our alarm clock. It's so convenient that somewhere along the way, it followed us into the bedroom and settled comfortably on the nightstand, just inches from our head. But as we grow older, we begin to realize that convenience often comes with a quiet cost. I remember nights when I lay down, physically tired, but my mind was still chasing words on a glowing screen, an unfinished article, a message left unanswered, a video that stirred up a feeling I couldn't quite name. And before I knew it, I was wide awake, tired, but restless. It turns out, it wasn't just the content, it was the light. That cool, blue light from the screen tricks our brain into thinking it's still daytime and stops the body from producing melatonin, the hormone that helps us drift into deep, restful sleep. And even after we finally close our eyes, the phone doesn't truly let us go. A faint buzz, a flash of light, a subtle sense that maybe someone messaged. All of it quietly interrupts the sleep cycle, leaving us foggy and sluggish when morning comes, as if we hadn't truly rested at all. At our age, sleep doesn't come as easily as it once did, and it's no longer just about getting enough hours, it's about getting sleep that actually restores us. That's why something as small as leaving your phone by the bed can slowly take away one of the most precious things we have: genuine rest. But here's the good news. The fix is simple. Just move the phone away, place it on your desk, or better yet, in another room. Use a basic alarm clock. And if you need a moment of quiet before bed, reach for a short book, soft instrumental music, or simply close your eyes and breathe deeply. Give it just a few nights. You might be surprised how quickly your sleep deepens, how clear your head feels in the morning, how long that clarity stays with you throughout the day. Dear friend, if you've been sleeping with your phone by your side, I invite you to try this one small change tonight. You never know. It might be the beginning of the kind of sleep you've been missing for years. And when that glow finally fades, you'll be ready to notice another subtle sign, one that's been quietly affecting your breath, every single night, without a word. Do you remember the last time you looked under your bed? Chances are, it's been a while. Once we slide something underneath, we tend to forget it's even there. Out of sight, out of mind. The bedroom is supposed to be our place of peace, but sometimes the very spaces we've filled quietly over the years can make our rest feel heavier without us realizing why. That space beneath the bed, seemingly harmless, can slowly gather more than just forgotten boxes. Over time, it collects what we can't see: dust, humidity, sometimes even mold. Many of us have used that space for storage, without giving it much thought. Old clothes, unused bags, items we don't know where else to put. They sit quietly, they don't make noise, they don't get in the way, and so we let them stay. But night after night, when we finally lie down and start breathing deeply, those fine dust particles begin to rise. You won't hear them, you won't see them, but your lungs will notice, especially as we age, when our respiratory system isn't as strong as it once was, and our immune defenses respond more slowly. But it's not just the body that feels it, it's also the mind. There's a kind of tension we can't name, an unease that lingers. Even when we sleep, some part of us senses the clutter, the hidden mess, and what should be a space of lightness starts to feel unconsciously weighed down. A tidy room doesn't just look clean, it feels clean both to the eyes and to the spirit. Maybe it's time to take a gentle look under the bed, not with blame, not with judgment, just with quiet curiosity. Have I been holding on to too much? Right beneath where I lay my head to rest, if you can. Set aside a peaceful afternoon, pull a few things out, wipe down the floor, leave the space empty, let it breathe again. And when you step back into your room, take a slow, deep breath. You might feel a stillness you didn't know you'd been missing. Have you ever felt that subtle difference? If so, I invite you to share your thoughts below. Your story might be just what someone else needs to finally clear the space under their own bed. And once the air beneath you flows freely again, You might begin to notice another corner of the room, a place so familiar you may have stopped seeing it altogether. There's a small corner in many bedrooms originally meant for comfort, a simple chair placed there to sit while dressing, to read a little, or just to rest when needed. But over time, that chair slowly becomes something else, a resting place for clothes just worn, a temporary home for a handbag or scarf, a catch-all for items with no other place to go. And before we know it, it's buried under layers of "I'll deal with it later." It may seem harmless, just a bit of clutter in one spot. But in truth, even small disarray can quietly disrupt the peace of a room and affect our state of mind more than we realize. You may not notice it right away, but when you walk into a space where everything is in its place, your brain relaxes. On the other hand, when corners are cluttered and the surfaces feel forgotten, part of your mind stays alert even if your eyes are closed and your body's lying still. At this stage in life, we don't need more stuff. We need more space to breathe, space to think, space for our spirit to rest. A chair buried under clothes doesn't just crowd the room. It subtly suggests unfinished business, the kind that quietly follows you into sleep. That thought, "I'll get to it tomorrow," when repeated too many times, can become a gentle pressure, a background hum that keeps rest from being truly deep. And beyond the emotional weight, there's the simple reality of air quality. Clothing that's not quite clean, fabric that's a bit damp, and the dust that settles over time, they all affect the air we breathe. And at our age, every breath matters a little more than it used to. So maybe, one quiet afternoon, you might sit with yourself for a moment, fold those pieces gently, return each item to where it belongs, wipe down the chair, give it back the empty space it once had. And perhaps, one evening soon, you'll walk into your bedroom and feel it, a lightness, a calm, because sometimes peace doesn't come from grand gestures, but from the quiet satisfaction of a space that no longer holds what we've let go. Do you have a chair like that in your room? If so, I'd love to hear about it. Sometimes sharing these little things helps us all let go together. And now that your chair can breathe again, let's turn to something else. Something we often use for comfort, yet if we're not careful, it can quietly affect every breath we take through the night. There are evenings when all we want is to walk into the bedroom and be greeted by a soft, familiar scent, just enough to calm the heart after a long day. A gentle fragrance brings with it a sense of warmth. It stirs old memories, soothes the nerves, and makes the space feel safe, like being wrapped in something familiar. That's why so many of us light a scented candle, plug in a wax warmer, or run a diffuser before bedtime. It seems harmless, comforting even. But sometimes what brings us ease may quietly come with long-term consequences. As we get older, our immune systems aren't quite as quick to respond. The body becomes more sensitive, and its reactions to irritants are slower, less obvious. So when we breathe in chemical compounds from artificial fragrances, from candles, plug-ins, or sprays, we might not notice anything right away. But night after night, these particles build up. They linger in the air, settle on the fabrics around us, and make their way into every breath we take. Most synthetic fragrances release VOCs, volatile organic compounds that can irritate the airways, trigger mild headaches, or leave us feeling inexplicably tired. We might wake up with a scratchy throat, tightness in the chest, or a foggy mind and blame it on the weather, or a restless night. But in truth, last night's fragrance may still be clinging to the air and to the pillow beneath our head. That doesn't mean we must give up what soothes us. It just means we can choose more gently in ways that nurture rather than harm. Natural essential oils, unscented beeswax or soy candles, or simply a few green plants that quietly purify the air. These simple changes don't cost much. They're not difficult, but they can make a noticeable difference in the way we sleep, the way we breathe, and the way we feel the next morning. We deserve to rest in a space where each breath feels clean, safe, and truly restorative. Do you use scented products in your bedroom? If so, maybe take a moment to read the label. And if something in your sleep has felt off lately, try setting those items aside for a few nights. Sometimes even the smallest shift can open the door to a better night's rest. And now that we've taken a closer look at the air around us each night, let's turn to the window where light and darkness play a far greater role in our health than we might have ever realized. There's something in our bedrooms that we rarely think about, yet it quietly shapes the rhythm of each day. It's how much morning light we allow in, or how much we keep out. Many of us choose dark, heavy curtains to help us sleep better at night. And that makes sense. A dark room invites deeper rest, especially as we grow older. And falling asleep isn't always as easy as it once was. But the problem isn't pulling the curtains closed at night. It's forgetting to open them again the next morning. Have you ever woken up feeling like you never truly rested? Even after hours in bed, your body heavy, your mind foggy, unable to tell where the night ended and the day began. That feeling dull, lingering is familiar to many of us. And sometimes, the reason is simpler than we think. It's the curtain, still drawn tight across the window, shielding us from the very thing our body longs for. Natural light doesn't just brighten a room, it signals the brain that a new day has begun. As sunlight enters the space, melatonin, the hormone that keeps us sleepy, begins to fade, and serotonin, the one that lifts our mood and energy, starts to rise. But when we stay in darkness long after the sun has risen, our internal clock loses its rhythm. We sleep more, but not better. We wake up, but don't feel truly awake. And the sluggishness lingers, with no clear cause. This becomes even more important as we age. Because in these years, a soft beam of morning light can do more than warm our skin. It can gently lift our spirits, brighten our outlook, and ease the quiet heaviness that sometimes finds its way in. So let the light come back in. You don't need to get rid of your dark curtains. Just take a few minutes each morning to draw them open. Let the air move through the room. Let the sunlight touch your face, wake your breath, and dissolve whatever weight the night may have left behind. And if privacy is a concern, consider switching to sheer light filtering curtains, ones that protect your space but still allow the morning to reach you. Our bodies were never meant to fight nature. They were meant to flow with it. Are you keeping your room in the dark longer than it needs to be? If so, try opening your curtains a little earlier tomorrow. And if it shifts something inside you, even just a little, I'd be honored if you'd share that feeling in the comments. Because when sunlight returns to your room, it has a quiet way of returning to your heart, too. And now that the light has found its way back in, we've reached a good moment to pause, to look back at everything we've explored together and gently close this chapter with something simple, but deeply meaningful. Dear friend, the bedroom is not just the place where we close our eyes each night. It is where the body quietly resets itself, and the mind finds calm after the noise and weight of the day. At this stage in life, we don't need anything extravagant. What we long for is something far simpler, a space that feels still. Still enough for breath, still enough for the soul. As time passes, we learn to slow down. We learn to listen more closely to the quiet signals of our body. And from that listening, we begin to see how even the smallest details, like how we arrange the space we sleep in, can make a world of difference. Not because we've become fragile, but because we've come to understand just how valuable peace and clarity truly are. Just a few small changes, a few quiet adjustments, can begin to shift how we rest, how we heal, how we greet each new day. It's not about indulgence, it's about kindness to the self we've journeyed with all these years. Because sleep, at its core, isn't just about rest. It's about health. It's about longevity. And it's about the quiet joy of waking up to a life that still has more to offer. If you've stayed with me all the way to these final words, then I believe you too are searching for a bit of stillness in the rush of everyday life. And if so, I gently invite you to start small. Start with the room where you sleep. If this message touched something in you, please consider leaving a comment or share it with someone you care about, someone who might need a soft reminder like this one. I hope to meet you again in another quiet reflection, still close to the heart, still filled with meaning. Because here at Senior Life Wisdom, we're simply here to remind each other there is still time to breathe, to rest, and to live fully.